when a customer calls in, it's usually one of about 5 different things. AI is still new enough that you still have to have that human touch almost every conversation.
We see AI getting better at doing a lot of these things. What are the big trends that you're seeing?
It's going to be a captain of the ship model. It's replacing all the sailors, and now you're going to need a captain of the ship.
Hey everybody, James Shepard here with another edition of the Self-Storage Insight podcast. Before we get rolling, this is probably one of my last episodes, at least for a little while. So Ben Shirey is jumping back in as the host. He was the host for quite a long time, I think several years there. And then I jumped in here, and then Ben's going to be back. So really excited to have him back on the podcast. But I really enjoy doing these. It's been a lot of fun. And again, I'm the a lead investor in CC Storage. Ben Shirey is the CEO, and so happy to have him kind of back in that active role. We're working on a lot of different software deals and things like that, and so we kind of switch things up a bit. But happy to have him back. This episode, we talk about AI. We talk about other things as well. But what is the role of AI in self-storage? Where are these limits at? What is it going to be able to accomplish over the next 2 to 3 years? So it's a great episode there, talking to somebody who's just a real, actual operator, manager of a couple of thousand doors, a couple of thousand facilities or units, and so having a great conversation there. Don't forget that this episode is brought to you by ccstorage.com. ccstorage.com. If you want to find out more about cutting edge software that is really taking the market by storm, head over to ccstorage.com, schedule a free demo, and check it out. Hey everybody, I'm here today with Derric Hartzell. Derric is with Pack and Stack Mini Storage, pretty good sized property there, doing a lot of the things there. So Derric, how are you doing today?
You good? How are you?
I am doing fantastic. We're going to talk about AI a little bit today, which is exciting. So we're going to talk about AI implementation on self-storage, a lot of buzzwords around that. But before we get into that, Derric, I want to get your story. How did you end up in the self-storage industry, and how did you end up at Pack and Stack?
Yeah, so I did, before I got into storage, I was actually a welder for 10 years. Worked in the trades. Before that, I did some construction and then grew up on a little farm in Branson, Missouri. And so kind of had a little bit of experience with that. But then right around the time COVID hit, I ended up getting laid off from the job. And so stayed home with the kids for a couple of months, was bouncing around looking for some ideas on jobs to do. And a really good friend of mine came to me. I actually had hit him up about getting a real estate license, broker's license. And he said, "Hey, tell you what, I've getting ready to buy a storage facility in Ozark, and I need somebody to run it." And so I hit the ground running on that. Went from one facility, acquired 2 more in 2023, and then acquired another one in September of last year. So we've just been growing and expanding, and been loving it.
That's great. That's awesome. So how many total units under management now with Pack and Stack, roughly?
2,000 doors,
2,000
and it's
doors,
split
okay.
fairly evenly between Ozark and then the actual in Springfield.
Sure. So I'm curious, like when you first, that's a pretty big shift, you're like welding and everything, and then in the trades, and then you're like, oh, now I'm in self-storage. What about the industry surprised you, or maybe some things when you first came in that you're like, oh, wow, I had no idea that this industry was this way, or anything like that comes to mind?
So one of the biggest things that I didn't have any experience with was the customer facing side. So the actual customer support, customer help. And so interacting with our customers on a daily basis was something that I had to grow into rather quickly. So that's one of the things that surprised me. And that kind of ties back into this idea that storage exists in a completely different space than conventional single or even multifamily residential properties. It really is a business. It's a customer facing retail business that you have to run that also has the real estate on the back end of it.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Yeah, so it is a real estate investment, but then you have these customers that are interacting with you in more real time. It's not quite as set it and forget it. You get a single family home. It's like, well, hopefully if you find a good renter, you should be good for a little while. Probably not a whole lot you have to do there. Make sure they're not destroying the place, but nothing too much. Whereas in self-storage, people are always kind of coming and going. They need that gate access. They need a good experience. There's going to be a little more turnover, things like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, in single family, multifamily residential, you may have a monthly checklist that you have to kick off, whereas in storage, it's a daily checklist.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. So, all right. So, before we dive into AI, which I want to talk about here, before we dive into that, I want to just talk about more big picture, more general. So, now you've been in the business for a while, right? If you could kind of go back to the beginning when you first got in, what are the like two or three things that you wish you knew back then, that are just really important to being able to like efficiently run these properties?
That's a great question. Um, I think knowing when to do something that yourself versus when to outsource to somebody that can is a little bit more specialized in it.
Yeah.
Utilizing your force multipliers. A lot of times you can be staring at a bottom line, and I've been very blessed to be able to work directly with ownership and really concentrate on bottom line to be able
Right.
to even with our expansions and everything. But you start looking at, oh, well, I can do this myself. We can do this in-house and save so much
Yeah.
money. And then every project inevitably expands 3 or 4 times what you thought it was originally.
Right.
Whereas if you had utilized a force multiplier, a contractor, somebody that you could brought in, that then opens you up to be able to do the things that really make more money.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's it's like just like business in general, right? It's like there's always a set of things that you can really add a lot of value. And then there's other things where, you're going to be a net negative because you're not the expert at it and somebody else could come in. It's their business and let them do that. So I think that's actually a perfect segue into AI. So let's talk about that for a minute. So how are you using AI right now in what you're doing? Where have you found it to be really beneficial? And then we'll get into maybe some of the offsets of that.
Yeah, so AI has been great for us as far as communication. So we actually just switched over to a program called Quo. It used to be Open Phone. We upgraded all 4 of our facilities from basically a legacy landline that we had a provider here, and it was a grandfathered in thing that they were
Sure.
discontinuing support for, had a whole
Right.
lot of issues, and finally said, hey, we need to get this figured out. We need to have an
Yeah.
actual business phone. And so we moved into a cloud-based phone system that has support for text messaging. And so it's really been what I've been diving into is integrations as far as AI. The
Yeah.
ability for AI to work as an intermediary between some of your tertiary, like your phone system or emails, and connect that in with your big management software that you use.
Right.
And having that link in there has been it's definitely got some growing pains. So the biggest problem
Yeah.
right now that we have is that there are so many different links along that chain, and every time you have a link in that chain, it's a $20 a month subscription in order to just be able to utilize
Yes.
that link. And
Right.
so running up into some issues with that, but just looking into the next 3 or 4 years, I think we're going to see a
Yeah.
boom in the ability for
Yeah.
AI to really be that integrator and also have products that
Right.
niche markets like storage can use.
Hey, everybody, want to take a brief time out here to talk to you about our sponsor, ccstorage.com. As we're in this episode talking about AI, the real meat of getting into AI is the API, making sure that the AI has the ability to talk to your software in a secure way. This is something CC Storage is working on currently and building out a very robust, secure API. And we're already working with a lot of different AI call centers that we're talking with about completing integrations and things like that. So if your facility is one that is looking for cutting edge software, again, free software, no net cost for payment processing, no software fees, huge increase. We're saving an average facility with 500 units is saving between $20,000 to $25,000 a year. So if you are a facility that fits that description or you say, well, we need the API, we would actually love to talk to you because we're in the middle of building out all the API features right now. And so we'd love to know what API features are going to be most important to you so we can ensure we're building the right features for the industry. So whether that's a move-in integration, whether that's an AI call center, marketing flow, whatever it might be, let us know what API features you're looking for. Head over to ccstorage.com, schedule a free demo, and tell us about your needs. We would love to talk with you. With that being said, let's dive back into this episode. Yeah, it's really interesting, Derek. So I have all this interesting experience with AI because, so we own the CC Storage, I own the software company. And so we're using AI, of course, on the development side. And then about a year ago, when it was still very cutting edge, we were like, oh, cool, we'll use AI to answer the phone when self-storage property owners call in with a question, right? That did not go well. So that was actually a really bad use case because it's very complicated and the questions are very subjective, right? And so but what I'm starting to see is on the self-storage side itself, in terms of like the tenants, right? they're generally calling in for one of like five things. So when you have that kind of like really well framed context, AI just can dominate there because it can get really specific into it. And then the other thing I think people maybe don't understand is that AI has gotten pretty good at knowing when it's not going to be good at something. So you can say, hey, answer these five. If you get something that's not one of these five, go ahead and that needs to go into a human or whatever in routing. So I guess my question for you here is, how are you designing these systems and where are you looking at to say, hey, these are the specific interactions where I think we can automate this flow all the way through with AI versus, no, there's still value to have the human on the phone or the human, connecting with them. How are you thinking about that in terms of balancing those?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right that when a customer calls in, it's usually one of about five different things. And so they want to make a payment, they want to update their information because they've moved, or they have a complaint, right?
Right.
And so being able to catch that, and the problem that we're running into right now is that AI is still new enough that you still have to have that human touch almost every conversation, and it's because of that integration. It's because it doesn't have the direct access to the API of your website to be able to go in and pull the information that it needs to actually do
Yeah.
something about it. So it's really focusing around that. That's what we're looking for is a something that can is open enough with their API and their HTTP code that it can actually go in and grab that
Right.
and then use it and actually do something with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a little scary because you don't have a human there to check on
Right.
it
Right.
to make sure that it's actually doing what it's supposed to do, and that can be really scary when it's getting into your system and can
Yeah.
mess up a whole lot of stuff. But it's that point right there that I'm kind of looking for is its ability to go in and almost autonomously handle those calls and then be able to say,
Yeah.
like you said, if it doesn't know, if it can't do that, kick it over to somebody that I can
Right.
actually handle that situation.
Yeah, yes, this is a very interesting conversation. So, like, I'll tell you my vision for it, which I think will be interesting to see if we can pull it off. What we're trying to build right now with CC storage is that in my mind, you have actions, right? So you should have these well-defined actions like refund, move in, that kind of thing, right? So, take payment, like, and so what's interesting is if you have these really well-defined actions, right, then you can put the guardrails around it because AI is only as good as the guardrails, that are around it. Because if you're scared of it, you can't use it, like refund is terrifying, because a refund is you're losing money going back to somebody else. So if the AI screws up and gives somebody a big refund, that's a problem. So like in our system, we're defining a refund to say the AI can refund up to the last payment given that it meets a certain criteria, right? So that way, like worst case scenario just messes up, well, it refund you lost $95. You don't want it to accidentally refund a
Yeah.
thousand or whatever, right? Um,
So yeah.
so it's like you have these actions, and then in my mind, there's still a couple of steps. I think the first step will be leveraging the AI within software to make it really easy for the owner, operator, manager to do these things, right? So like I'm imagining like a ChatGPT type UI. You go and you type in, I need a refund the last payment for Bill Jones, and it goes, okay, I found customer Bill Jones, unit 436. His last payment was $95. Do you want me to refund this amount? Yes. And then done. And so they don't have to click through all the things to do it. And then it's like, if you can get that far, then yeah, then at that point, there's no reason why the AI couldn't go voice to text and text to voice, right? And just take care of it for you. But I do think it'll be interesting. You make a really good point. I think the issue is those constraints. It's like making sure that there's a constraint around the AI. Otherwise, nobody's going to feel comfortable using it.
And that's something that we run into on the customer side as well, is if you give them the opportunity to either talk to an AI or talk to a human, they're going to want to talk to a
Of
human,
course.
right? And
Yes.
I don't think that we've hit that Turing point yet, where it's just like it's
Yeah.
indistinguishable and they're just
No.
going to go about their day, especially voice to voice. And
Right.
90% of our move-in business is still over the phone.
Yep.
And so one of the things I have been able to implement just the first phases of is say somebody comes in and they want to make a reservation. We give them the opportunity to just go ahead and hit move in now and get all their stuff filled out, but they want to make a reservation because they want to come in and see the unit. They want to come in and
Right.
see the facility. And so that then immediately kicks it back to us. And
Right.
we find that even people who are ready to move in right now, they'll hit the reservation button, not
Yep.
even knowing that it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And that then leaves a pain point of, okay, well, it may be an hour or two before somebody can get free to call them. And
Right.
so what I can do is then take that email that we get from our reservation site, uh, take their information and their phone number out of that, immediately plug it into our open phone, and then it sends them a text message with somebody's going to get a hold of you as soon as we possibly can. If you don't want to wait for
Right.
us, here's your link to move in right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I think the other thing too is you'll find even like we didn't integrate this into our system yet, but like Calendly and other solutions like that have a really good integration with AI now to where most of the AI calling systems do integrate to at least one calendar type provider. So then even
Yep.
things like, hey, we want to show it, you can add in like 30-minute slots throughout the day, and then they could actually just pick one, book it, and then they know it's they like I'm coming tomorrow at 1 and they're done. And then no human has to look at it until tomorrow at 1 when they see, oh, I got to be here to do this. Right. So, that kind of leads me to another question though. So with these four facilities, do you have somebody on site at all four of them all the time? Or is it kind of, how does that work for you guys?
So when we acquired the two facilities up north, we they came with live-in managers, and so they're still employed with the company, and so they are on site basically 24/7. And so they are responsible for running those facilities, and then I kind of oversee the work, and I work with the owners to kind of vision
Sure.
cast, and this is where we're going, and this is what we are
Sure.
looking for. The two down in Ozark, I manage 100% myself.
Okay. How does that work? So the kind of live-in managers, I mean, what's the job description there for people that maybe have facilities and and don't have a manager there or whatever? What does that look like to have that live-in manager? Is that kind of a part-time position? They maybe do other things, or is it that's all they do? Like what does that look like?
So it's full time for both of
Okay.
our managers. I've
Okay.
seen it happen work little different in different situations, but in
Sure.
our case, yeah, they're full time. They do get part of their compensation is their living, and so then they also get paid from us, and then yeah, they are responsible for the day-to-day operations of the facility.
Sure.
They will move people in, they'll move people out, they'll take payments. They also do some minor maintenance around the facility as far as
Sure.
sweeping and keeping it clean, cleaning out units
Right.
whenever there's move outs and helping people move
Right.
in. And then, so I'll come in, and anytime we have a bigger project is when I
Sure.
come in along with the owner, and who's great and is very
Right.
active in the company. And so we
Sure.
work together in order to do some of the bigger projects.
Sure. How many units are like I'm trying to calibrate in my mind like how many units justifies one full-time manager? Like how many units are at those two properties there versus like the ones that are in Ozark?
So the bigger one up in Springfield is about 650-ish units. The smaller one is about 250 to 300.
Okay.
So I would say that low end to justify a live-in manager is going to be at least 300 units, and
I
that's
see.
probably that's cutting it close.
Right. Right.
Ideally, you'd want to see 550 to 600 at a
Okay.
facility to justify a full-time manager.
Interesting. And what's a day in the life of that manager? Like I guess I'm trying to understand is do these managers have quite a bit of like recurring deliverable type tasks that they need to do on a regular basis, or is it kind of more of availability of like people are just going to come in, they're going to call, they want to move in, they want to move out? Like how much of their day is like proactive versus reactive for that live-in manager?
A lot of it's proactive. We have a daily checklist that
Okay.
like I was talking about, that we built, and we work with them to say, hey, this is what the job looks like. And so every day they open up the office, they check emails, they check for reservations, do that. They go out on the facility, walk around for security, picking up trash that people have left behind, cleaning any vacant units that need to be cleaned, and then going back in the office and dealing with customer needs for the rest of the day.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
there is a huge benefit as far as security, especially with the position of the two facilities that we do have. They're not necessarily in the best parts of town, so having a
Sure.
presence on site
Yeah.
daily is a huge boon. And if they're there doing management anyway, they might as well be making sure that nobody's breaking in.
Sure. What about on the security side? What about gate? Like are these like gated facilities with locks and kind of how does that figure into that versus having the person on site? I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on the whole gates and everything. So
Yeah, so one facility has an automatic gate, keypad access. The other one is fully fenced and gated, but it is a manual gate. So that manager will go out and open that gate at 7 a.m. and then they'll shut it again at 7 p.m.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's cool. Okay, got it. Yeah, that's super, super interesting. Okay, so I had a little rabbit trail there. I always like to find out these nitty gritty details. I find our audience enjoys this stuff, as do I. I kind of like to see how stuff's running. So let's go back. Let's circle back to AI for a minute. So now let's go kind of bigger picture. So we talked about some of the details of like, hey, the phone, everything else. When you look at that next 2 to 3 years in the self storage industry, we see AI getting better at doing a lot of these things. How do you think it's going to impact your business and kind of the industry at large? What are the big trends that you're seeing?
I think that just like you see any technology develop, is you'll have something come in and it's going to replace a lot of jobs, but in the replacing of that job, it's now created a new job where you have to work on the machine.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah,
going to see a lot more leaning on technical experience and being able to work with software, utilize that AI, come in and fix it whenever it messes up. That's going to be more
yeah.
of a focus of your storage manager or your general manager, property manager that you have going into the next 2 to 3 years. It's going to be the a captain of the ship model. So
Yeah.
it's replacing all the sailors, and now you're going to need a captain of the ship.
Right. Yeah. Now maybe you're gonna need two or three captains. Right. So yeah. And I think it's a good way to think about it. I remember when I think it was maybe 8 months or a year ago when agentic started to be the big word that came out. And I think that actually was good because for me, even I thought about AI more as like a general technology tool, not as an agent. And I think when you start thinking of it in that way and almost like, okay, I have these kind of like pseudo employees that are AI agents and the great thing about it is like in business, you have division of labor, in an ideal world, you want to train one person to do one thing, like if I can get you to be really, really good at answering the phone and dealing with those situations, that's great. But the problem is if I'm going to have a human, it's like, well, I need them to be able to do more than that because I can't afford to pay somebody to just answer the phone at this facility. That only happens 5 times a day or 20 times a day. Whereas with the AI agent, it's like, yeah, you can train this AI agent and they're only going to work an hour and a half a day, but they're going to be really, really, really good at answering the phone and dealing with those situations. And to your point, eventually even tied into your system and handling these things automatically. So you may end up with, 10 or 15 AI agents, right? Managing what used to be two or three humans. But now you need to bring these people, bring people in that can handle the technical side as well to also make sure those AI agents either are programmed correctly or when they do hit those inevitable, their AI is never going to be good at helping somebody. Well, maybe not. I guess we'll see what Elon builds with his robots, but I think it's going to be a while before AI is really good at helping them move those boxes and locking the door. And so there's still going to be a lot of these things that humans have to jump in on, right?
Yeah, I think, and on the other side of that, the person that you bring in and you train to handle the AI and that systems and that
Yeah,
flow, they're still going to have to be trained in the customer service because,
right.
AI can handle 95% of it, but that 5%, they're still going to have to step in.
Yeah, and the 5% is always going to be the hardest part. It's like if it was an easy call, the AI would have handled it. So you
Yeah.
still have to have the best, the person that can deal with the AI, but also have that human touch. So super interesting. What else are you seeing? What else do you see outside of AI? Like again, if you were our audience is mostly people that own self storage properties, right, and manage them. So what are some other things that you're seeing that maybe are impacting your business positively? Things that you like to share with the audience of like tips and tricks or other things that you're seeing that could really move the needle for them.
Yeah, being active in it. One of the biggest concerns that I've seen is people viewing storage as this investment that they can shove over to the side and it's just going to churn and it's just going to make them money, and then you come back into the facility 2 years later and it's a mess. And so
Yeah.
staying active in it, staying keeping your thumb on it and making sure that you are aware of how it's going,
Mm.
that kind of thing. And then um, being open to changes in the market.
Yeah. Sure.
Realizing that storage is not directly tied to, the residential market. It's kind of tied to it, but being able to take hits as they come and hit the ground running and then roll
Yeah.
on with that.
Yeah, I love it. Last question for you, Derric. I know our audience, everybody, is wishing they could expand, more. You guys just got done adding a couple of properties. What do you look for when you're looking? I'm sure you guys are probably still looking as well. What do you look for in like, hey, I want to add that next property? What are the key components that you're looking for to say this is a good one? This is one that we should look at further.
Um, Typically, boils down to good physical occupancy, but probably lower economic occupancy. That's a great opportunity for us to step
Mm,
in with a systemed and tiered rate increase rate. A facility that is not necessarily got a great presence on social media or on Google, that's an easy move in.
yeah,
Something that it has the potential for cash flow.
yeah,
It can be a little bit off.
right,
We can roll that in and work with it a little bit, but if it's
right,
right there, there's a lot of facilities that you go into and that are listed on the MLS, and you're just like, I don't know where you pulled this number from, but nobody in their right mind would ever pick it up because there's no way that we can make this thing make money. But there's a
right,
lot of facilities out there that have the potential. They're just right there. They may be maybe a little on the high side, but with a
yeah.
little bit of hard work and a little bit of understanding of how the system works, you roll in and you make that into a little gym.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like you mentioned a minute ago, right? It's that involvement. So maybe there's somebody that has a facility, and for whatever reason, maybe they retired and they just aren't into it, and they're seeing those occupancy rates start to decline. So they're getting to that point of like, man, I need to jump in. They're seeing AI, but they're not taking advantage of it, and so they're just not really engaged in the business. Maybe they're still managing their business on a spreadsheet or something like that. And so yeah, I see those opportunities to jump in. So Derric, it's great, great connecting with you. For those who want to maybe learn a little bit more about you and about what you guys are doing there, is anywhere you would send them to learn more, to see more of what you guys are doing?
You can go to www.packandstack.org, and that's pack in the letter N stack.org.
Love it. Awesome. Derric, thanks again so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Hey everybody, James Shepard here. Thank you so much for listening into this episode of the Self Storage Insight Podcast. Stay tuned for more regular episodes coming up with your host, Ben Shirey. Thank you all. I really have enjoyed doing this and really appreciate all of you taking your time to listen in.